Government whistleblower policy yields 123 billion naira. Court stops ADOKE'S prosecution over MALABU oil deal. Governor Ikpeazu wins big at the Supreme Court. And in sports, Anthony Joshua declares war against Deontay. These and more stories in a moment. You are on the news on the hour on television Nigerian. I am Anthony Momodu. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, disclosed on Friday that the whistleblower policy of the federal government has yielded about 123 billion naira. Speaking at an evaluation workshop on the whistleblower policy and asset tracing team organized by the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption in Abuja on Friday, Adeosun said the federal government had received 8,373 inquiries and 1,231 tips since the policy was introduced in 2016. Adeosun further revealed that 791 investigations were commenced, while 534 had been concluded, with 7.8 billion naira, $378 million, and 27,800 pounds recovered so far. The finance minister also said the federal government was planning to review the whistleblower policy to make it more effective, further stressing that although the government believes that the policy has been successful, more work needed to be done. A federal high court in Abuja has heard that the involvement of former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke, in the OPL 245 transaction, commonly referred to as the MALABU oil deals, was in furtherance of execution of lawful directives and approvals of President Goodluck Jonathan. Delivering the judgment on Friday, Justice Binta Inyako held that Adoke merely acted on furtherance of the lawful directives and approvals of ex-President Jonathan in the exercise of his executive powers as provided in the Constitution, and therefore could not be held personally liable for all he did in respect of the MALABU deals. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had, based on Adoke's involvement in the MALABU deal, to which it claimed Nigeria lost over $1.8 billion, filed a 5-count charge of money laundering against the ex-minister before the Federal High Court, Abuja. Still to come, Governor Ikpeazu wins big at the Supreme Court, plus more on sports and the foreign scene. Stay tuned.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian Army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian Army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Thanks for sticking to the news hour on television Nigerian. The Supreme Court on Friday, in a unanimous decision by the 5-man panel of justices, threw out the appeal that was filed by the chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and governorship aspirant in the state, Sir Friday Nwosu, seeking the removal of Governor Ikpeazu of Abia State from office over his alleged complicity in tax fraud. In the lead judgment that was prepared by Justice Amina Ugi, and read by Justice C.D. Bagay, the Supreme Court held that Nwosu's appeal was frivolous and grossly lacked in merit, and as a punitive measure awarded 4 million naira cost against the appellant, who, it said, should pay 1 million naira to each of the 4 defendants in the appeal. The Apex Court has upheld the earlier verdict of the Court of Appeal, which refused to sack Governor Ikpeazu from office over his alleged submission of irregular tax papers to INEC prior to the 2015 governorship election in Abia State. To some sports update, Nigerian-born British boxer Anthony Joshua has vowed to dish the boxing skills that carried him to victory over Joseph Parker and go to war against the likes of Deontay Wilder. The British heavyweight added Parker's WBO belt to his IBF, WBA and IBO straps with a unanimous point win in Cardiff last month. It was the first time Joshua had been taking the distance in his 21 professional fights, and victory set him on course for a money-spinning showdown with Wilder for the title of undisputed champion. But after impressing many observers with his jab and footwork, Joshua has promised to return to a riskier approach that brought him a remarkable run of stoppage victories.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipe-borne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria. Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
On the foreign scene, the United States, United Kingdom and France have bombed multiple government targets in Syria in an early morning operation targeting alleged chemical weapon sites. The strikes were in response to a suspected chemical attack on the Syrian town of Douma last week. The Pentagon said explosions hit the capital Damascus as well as 2 locations near the city of Homs. Russia's ambassador to the U.S. responded by saying the attack on its ally will not be left without consequences. The wave of strike is the most significant attack against the President Bashar al-Assad's government by the Western powers in 7 years of Syria's civil war. The former wife of late South African president and anti-apartheid icon Nelson Mandela, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, was laid to rest this Saturday with full state honors at the stadium funeral in Soweto. Tens of thousands of mourners burst into loud cheers as the casket carrying her remains was wheeled into the stadium less than 2 kilometers from her home. Mourners dressed in the colors of the ruling African National Congress, ANC, as well as those of the radical opposition economic freedom fighters, sang "There Is No One Like Winnie," an adapted popular liberation struggle song. The ceremony concludes 10 days of national mourning, during which time thousands of South Africans have paid tribute to the mother of the nation at her Soweto home and elsewhere. Winnie Mandela, who died in Johannesburg aged 81 on April 2nd after a long illness, has been celebrated for helping keep Nelson Mandela's dream of a non-racial South Africa alive while he was behind bars for 27 years. A recap of the major stories. Whistleblower policy yields 123 billion naira. Court stops ADOKE'S prosecution over MALABU oil deal. Governor Ikpeazu wins big at the Supreme Court. And in sports, Anthony Joshua declares war against Deontay. That's the news on the hour on your favorite channel, Television Nigerian. Do remember, love is that condition in which the happiness of another person is essential to your own. Thanks for watching. I am Anthony Momodu.